Yo, I'm Shadowmorph. Welcome back to my final year diary series where I talk about what life is like as a final year student at Monash, as a student who's doing a double degree in engineering and commerce. Today I'm going to give you guys 20 tips on how to lock in and get your shit together for uni. I'm going to cover things that I wish I knew when I first started, ranging from how to be more organized to being aware of different Monash services and procedures, and a few random ones. And hopefully this helps if you're new to uni as a first or second year student, or if you're just looking for general advice. Number 1, get your shit together by the end of week 3. Week 3 recently ended, and in my opinion, after doing uni for 6 years, if you don't have your shit together by the end of week 3, you're kind of fucked. You have a high chance of getting snowballed as the semester progresses because assessments will start piling up and content will get harder, especially with midterm tests approaching in week 5 and 6. You really need to know the first half of your content and be up to date. Now, it's not impossible to get back on track, but it will be very hard to because of the sheer volume of stuff you need to catch up on that even the midterm break won't save you. So for future semesters, I would highly recommend using week 3 as a checkpoint to make sure that you're up to date with all your units and you have a plan on how to stay organized. Number 2, I would recommend noting down all the assessments for your units, so you know exactly what you're getting assessed on, you know its percentage contribution to your final grade, and when it's due. Identifying these early on will help with task prioritization and time management, especially if you have a busy week or if something bad happens. You can also figure out which tasks to do now based on what's more important and urgent, and which ones can be done later. For example, submitting a quiz or an assignment on time is more important than taking perfect notes. Obviously, to understand the topic, you need to do rough notes to be able to understand the key concepts, but you shouldn't spend a lot of time making sure that it's absolutely perfect to the point that you submit things late. You can always fix the notes later and it's not as urgent. You can also figure out which units to prioritize more. For example, I'm doing 3 units this semester: robotics, finance law, and FYP, which is final year project for engineering students. Every week I have something due for my robotics and finance law unit that I need to submit, but it's more important for me to dedicate more time towards robotics every week because the content is way harder and I need to make sure that I understand the maths and how to interpret the diagrams for the robotic arms, and FYP as well because I need to meet weekly with my group to make sure that we're on track and we know what we're doing. So as a result, I tend to neglect finance law content quite a bit, but I'll definitely need to study it over the midterm break to make sure that I'm up to date because we're getting assessed on it through a midterm test afterwards. Number 3, figure out which management tools work best for you. To plan out my week and know exactly what I'm doing each week, I use 3 main tools: Google Calendar, Todoist, and Notion. I do my time management on Google Calendar, and to do this, you basically have to time block everything. You start off with the activities that are locked in and guaranteed. This includes your class times, any appointments or interviews, training sessions, lessons, etc. And inside the gaps, you want to fit in the more flexible stuff, such as any hobbies and responsibilities you may have, such as studying, exercising, hang out with friends, video games, groceries, and so on. So by doing this, you can figure out how much time you have for everything. I also note down what week it is and when uni breaks are and certain deadlines for assessments, just so that I'm more aware of what's going on. I do my task management on Todoist, which is basically a to-do list app, hence the name. This helps me plan and allocate what I need to get done during the week. The tasks basically get ordered based on priority and time, and it makes it really easy to figure out what you're doing. And it's also very satisfying to tick off things once they're done, and it's also easy to move tasks around in case you get busy. I do my project management stuff on Notion, so I write down all the stuff related to my units here as I mentioned earlier, but also any side projects that I want to do, such as YouTube video planning and travel planning. Having all of these apps helps me stay organized so that I don't miss anything. It's important to experiment and see what works best for you because everyone has different ways of doing stuff, but ideally simpler is better. Number 4, you want to bookmark and download important apps. You obviously want to bookmark important Monash websites such as Moodle, Allocate, and Wes, and download any apps on your phone that you might need for uni, such as Octaverify, which you should already have done, OPark for parking, the PTV app if you use the bus or train a lot, and the Monash Study app is also pretty useful. It tells you your schedule, upcoming assessments, grades, and shows you a campus map, among other things. You can also bookmark and download apps for Gmail, Google Drive, Google Calendar, and whatever productivity and time management tools that you may find useful. Number 5, apply for the Myki Tertiary concession. If you commute on the bus or train often and you don't already have a concession such as the healthcare card, you can apply for tertiary concession using West if you're a full-time domestic student. It'll auto-generate using the form with your photo and details and email it out to you. You print this form out, fill it out, and then you bring it to a local train station where they'll make it for you. It's currently a $9 fee, and it can either be for half the year or the whole year depending on if you're studying full-time or not. After they finish laminating the card, you can enjoy your discounted PTV trips. Number 6, apply for youth allowance. If you're a full-time domestic uni student aged around 16 to 24-ish, you'll you're most likely eligible for youth allowance. It's a bit of a hassle filling out the form and you'll probably need parental income proof, but it's basically free money, so you should apply for it ASAP. Do your research and see if you're eligible for it. Number 7, underload and do extracurriculars or part-time jobs instead. Most people I know have underloaded because they're busy with other commitments such as part-time jobs, clubs, or student teams. I've underloaded to 3 units for most of my uni degree. I definitely support it, and so do many people I know who have gone through the same route. I don't think it's fulfilling to spend your whole uni life dedicated to just studying and nothing else. I think it's good to build on your resume and meet new people to befriend them and network. You can also learn new skills through student clubs and teams, which is especially important as an engineering student since you don't get to do many hands-on activities during your units. There's also many clubs related to hobbies such as sports and gaming. There's also cultural clubs, which is great if you want to meet people from your culture or if you're an international student struggling to socialize with others and feeling a bit homesick. You can check out these clubs on the MSA website. As a domestic student, underloading is a fairly easy process, and you'll be a full-time student if you underload from 4 to 3 units, which means that your Myki concession and youth allowance payments won't be affected, so that's good. And if you do switch to part-time instead, which is 1 or 2 units, unfortunately these will affect those payments, so just be careful with that. And for international students, you might think that you're not allowed to underload, but technically you can, but it's just more expensive and annoying to go through the process of applying for a new student visa. But I've seen many international students fail due to genuine reasons, and Monash will force you to underload anyways because they see that you're struggling to pass with 4 units. So look into it and do what's best for you. You might be worried about finishing on time and all that kind of stuff, but you actually have a while to finish your degree. You basically times your course duration by 2. For example, my double degree in engineering and commerce is meant to take 5 years full time, but I'm allowed to have up to 10 years max to finish it to account for any underloading. I forgot to note this, but you can also do summer units or winter units potentially. Not all faculties offer this option though, and if it's something that does interest you, where you prefer to do more of a balanced study load where you get to study over the holidays rather than everything all at once during the semester, this could potentially be a beneficial option. Just make sure you do your research. And to be honest, I'd be way more worried about trying to speedrun and rush through my degree and graduate with 0 experience and 0 connections. So yeah, genuinely, it's fine to take your time, go out and try different things and see what you enjoy. Number 8, there's 2 important dates that you should be mindful of if you need to withdraw from units. So this is the census date and the withdraw and fail date. Census date is basically the last day you can withdraw from any units before you face financial and academic penalties. For this semester, it's week 5 on Tuesday 31 March. If you withdraw before that date, you don't get charged a unit fee and your WAM and GPA won't be affected. You can withdraw from units using WES. It's a similar process to enrolling to the unit, but except this time you're trying to unenroll. The withdraw and fail date is on week 9 on Tuesday 12 May. If you withdraw between the census date and the withdraw and fail date, which is between week 5 to 9, you're considered withdrawn late. You'll have to pay the unit fee, but it won't impact your grades. If you withdraw after the withdraw and fail date, which is after week 9, you'll have to pay for the unit fees and it will also count as a 0 on your grades. So if you're struggling with a unit, the best time to drop out is before census date. If you had any special circumstances beyond your control that got worse after census date and it made it impossible for you to keep up with your unit, then you can potentially apply for a fee reversal to get a refund on your unit. And you could also potentially get a grade change to withdrawn so that it doesn't affect your grades. You can do this reversal stuff up until the results release after exams, but this is something that you need to apply for and submit documentation for, and it's a hassle to try and get approved, and it's also not guaranteed if you're going to get approved. So I would highly recommend dropping out before census date if you really struggle with a unit. Number 9, using MonPlan. So if you underload or you don't like the course map guide, you can actually use a tool called MonPlan to help customize it yourself. You'll have to do a lot of research and double checking to make sure that you're doing it correctly. You have to make sure that prerequisite units are done before units that need it, double check which semesters they run, make sure you're doing all your core units and electives so that you tick off all the credits that you need to graduate. But once you figure out your own course map, I think this is very rewarding and it gives you a peace of mind once you figure it out. It really teaches you that uni can be very flexible and you don't have to follow the official course map to a T. You can customize it to how it best suits your situation. Funnily enough, as of me editing this video, Monash put out an email saying that they're going to close down MonPlan on Tuesday 5th of May. Hopefully Monash puts out a similar website to MonPlan that we can use in the future. But for now, you can do what you can on MonPlan and then you can download it and still use it as a tool before it gets deleted. Number 10, getting course advice. If you're unsure if you're on the right track or not with your course map and you want help with the course planning and progression side of things, you can fill out the course advice form. This is useful if you're in your final year and you want to make sure that you're set to graduate, or if you've underloaded and had to manually figure out your course map. They might take a few weeks to get back to you. You can also go to your faculty buildings in person person to ask them directly. For example, I can get help with commerce questions at Menzies, or I can book an appointment to talk to someone online. The Monash Business School is pretty accessible and easier to contact, but this will vary from faculty to faculty, so make sure you research on how to contact them. I don't recommend going to Monash Connect directly because they'll take ages to get back to you, and when they do, sometimes the response isn't clear. Number 11, using the 2-day extension. If you find that you're falling behind and need more time with uni assessments, I would recommend using the no questions asked 2-day extension that everyone gets for free at Monash. So you can get a short extension without needing any documentation. Make sure you do this before the deadline and not after. Keep in mind this only applies to certain assessments. Usually it's good for assignments because all you need to do is submit a PDF or whatever, so it's a bit more flexible. It's allowed for certain types of quizzes, but not all. I've used it for pre-lab quizzes before, but for topic quizzes that may have more of a grade associated with it, they might not be allowed. And it's also a bit iffy on group assessments, so you'll have to check with your unit coordinator if that's allowed. You definitely can't use it for midterms or exams. You have to go through the special consideration process and submit documentation for those. But for most people, I'd say the 2-day extension is good enough. There doesn't seem to be a limit on how many times you can use it, so definitely use it when you need to. And if you submit a couple of seconds or minutes late, you can actually email your unit coordinator saying that you had some sort of issue with your internet or uploading. Usually they're pretty chill about it, especially if you're in your first or second year, so just keep that in mind if that happens. Number 12, DSS. If you have an ongoing medical or mental health condition, I'd recommend applying for DSS. Not a lot of people know about what this is, but some people genuinely struggle with studying and could benefit from using DSS. Your GP or psych has to submit supporting documentation for you, but once you're registered, it will make uni life a lot easier. For example, if you struggle with exams, you can ask for extra working out time or rest breaks. Most of my exams are 2 hours long, but because of DSS, it's 3 hours instead. And I can also take a break from the exam whenever I want to minimize feeling overwhelmed. DSS also allows you more flexibility in deadline extensions. You can get 10 days of extension, no questions asked, no documentation needed because the uni already knows about your condition. And if you ever need to defer a midsem, it also makes it easier to do that. Whatever the case may be, please use a 2-day extension or DSS depending on your situation, because I don't think anyone should be punished for submitting things late. Sometimes things happen and you fall behind, and sometimes all you need is just a little bit of extra time to feel okay and motivated to study, or extra time to understand hard topics. And you can alleviate a lot of stress and stop your grades from dropping unnecessarily by being more aware of what the uni offers and how it can help you. But despite me advocating for deadline extensions, I would only recommend using them if you actually need it. It's not always good to push things back because you need to catch up with other work as well to make sure that you're on top of those. So I think extensions are more like a last resort kind of thing. So even if you are entitled to the 10-day extension, maybe sometimes it's more beneficial to use 2 days instead, just so you don't fall too far behind. Number 13, Monash Counselling. If you need mental health support, Monash has free counselling for students. I believe you get around 10 free sessions every year, and you can do it on campus, on Zoom, or on the phone. I'd recommend using Monash counsellors over external psychologists because they're more aware of the internal processes that go on at Monash. Because of this, they can help you more easily when it comes to getting the paperwork or documentation done for DSS or any sort of special consideration that you might need. It's also fine if you have an external GP or psych that you prefer talking to, but just be really careful on the documentation wording because Monash can be quite strict on it. It has to say that you're unfit to sit a certain exam or test to make sure that it gets approved, so just be careful of that. Some people underestimate the impact of shit mental health, so it's really important to make sure that you're okay and talk to someone if you need it. This is not something to be ashamed of. It's completely okay to figure out what you need help with, whether it be therapy, medication, or DSS. Number 14, MSA. MSA stands for Monash Student Association. It's not officially part of Monash. It's more like a volunteering, student-run organization for students. You've probably seen them at O Week, running different stall events, running events during the semester, and giving out free things. But they also fight for unfair university policies and push for initiatives that benefit students. If you need help with special consideration, risk level triggers, or hearing preparation, you can reach out to the Monash Advocacy and Support, SAS. They'll guide you on how to proceed if you're struggling and failing units. They also have a membership program called MSA Plus, where you can get discounts on different clubs and other things and merch, I believe. I'd recommend checking out the different things that MSA does and see if any of them interest you in case you want to do volunteering events or if you need help with anything. They're a pretty good resource as well. Number 15, apply for scholarships. You might think that scholarships are only for people with good grades, and to be honest, a lot of them are, but there actually are some different ones that are not related to grades at all. So there are some for people experiencing difficult circumstances from disadvantaged backgrounds, low income, living in rural areas. I've gotten one because of DSS due to struggling with mental health, and there's some for Indigenous or international students. There's travel grants for studying overseas. If you're a woman in STEM, there's a bunch for those too. I got really lucky with one and I didn't even know it existed when I applied. I was just trying to apply for a travel grant for something overseas, but I got really lucky. I ended up getting it and then they offered an internship as well. So yeah, honestly, shoot your shot. You never know what will happen, even if you don't think you'll get it. I recommend just applying for it anyways, and you can apply for this at the start of the semester. And even if you think it's impossible to get a scholarship, there is a chance that you could, so you never know what will happen. I think it's worth applying anyways. And for these last 5 tips, these are going to be kind of random and not as serious as the other 15 that I've given. Number 16, don't buy textbooks. Seriously, it is not worth it. Even for the units that say that the textbook is compulsory, do not listen to that. It's a bait. You can use Monash's library search tool to look for your textbook and other things such as academic papers and newsletters. So for example, I can search up the Australian Finance Law textbook. It will show me results from ProQuest, and since I'm a uni student, I can read it for free on ProQuest using my Monash login. And if you can't find it through the library, you can find websites that upload PDFs of textbooks for free. I don't have any strong particular recommendation for a website, but you can find some of these using Reddit. Number 17, contest your parking fine if it's your first time. This might not be an obvious one, but you can usually contest it if it's a small or common mistake, such as forgetting to start your OPark session, making a typo of your plate number, or parking in the wrong zone. They'll usually waive the fee if it's your first time because it's your first fuck up and they understand that most uni students are new to driving. You do have to fill out a form to appeal this though, but after that it should be fine. Number 18, book Matheson rooms to study in. There's many open spaces on campus where you can study, but if you want to study with friends in a more private room, I would recommend booking rooms. On the Clayton campus, Matheson is probably the best one because it's the most central, has the most options, and can accommodate large groups ranging from 6 to 10 people depending on the room. There's a bunch of other locations you can book for as well, and you can look through them. And you can actually book 8 days in advance. So if I wanted to book for week 5 Monday, the earliest I can book is week 3 Sunday as soon as it turns midnight. These bookings fill out fast, so make sure you get on it early. It's especially busy during SWAT-vac and the exam season. These bookings are made in 30-minute slots and you can get a max of 2 hours per day. So if you had a bunch of friends that you're studying with, you can coordinate this and stack your bookings together and basically have the room for the whole day. Number 19, be proactive in making friends. If you really wanted to, you could solo uni without making any friends and do everything alone and pass your units that way, but I really don't recommend this. A lot of units require group work anyways and you get assigned with random group mates, so you need to learn how to befriend people and get along with them. It's important to build those social and teamwork skills early on because you'll need it for work later on anyways, and it's useful to work collaboratively and compare answers for stuff to make sure that you guys are on the right track and understand the content. But don't go into it with the expectation that your classmates are going to be your close or your best friends. Maybe they will be if you're lucky, but most of the time people stick to their high school friend groups, and once the unit ends, you never talk to your classmates again until you have another common unit and the cycle kind of repeats. But don't let that discourage you. I think you should still be proactive in befriending people in your classes or clubs. Set up group chats, send memes to each other, organize study sessions. Just make sure that you're building those connections. Networking is a very valuable skill because it could give you advantages for work opportunities later on. And you probably heard the phrase, it's not about what you know, but who you know. And after being involved in so many different things, it's deadass very true. So just make sure that you're taking the steps to make sure you socialize with others. And number 20, don't sacrifice your health for uni. I know there's a lot of pressure to do well, but there's more important things in life, so don't overwork yourself to the extent where it messes up your mental and physical health, your sleep, and your relationship with others. After spending 12 years in primary school and high school, and an additional however many years after that in TAFE for uni, it's kind of drilled into our brains as students that grades are the most important thing, but they're really not. Yes, it's important to pass, but there's so many different career options out there and pathways to get there, so it's honestly fine if you don't get it right the first time. If possible, I would recommend maintaining a WAM of 70 plus. This is roughly a good guideline to follow that's achievable without sacrificing your well-being too much, but it will also depend on your faculty and what career you want to do. If you wanted to switch your uni course, a lot of faculties require a decent WAM, which is usually around 70, so that's why it's a good guideline. And a WAM of 70 usually looks good to recruiters anyways, unless you're doing an insane job that requires super high grades, but they'll also consider other things such as your work experience. If you fail a unit, it sucks, but as long as you learn from your mistakes and find the right solution for you, I think it's fine. You need to figure out, was the content too hard? Did you slack off too hard? Are you going through some medical or mental health stuff? Is this the right course for you? Figure out where you went wrong and don't worry about trying to get 100% on everything. A decade from now, your uni grades won't really matter. I mean, look at high school. After you graduated, no one talks about ATAR anymore. And if they do, they're either a traitor or a red flag, so be careful out there. So honestly, don't worry too much about it. Try your best to pass, work hard, but do take it chill as well. Make sure you're spending time with friends and looking after your well-being, and you'll be fine. Whatever happens in life, you'll be fine. So that's all for the 20 tips I have today. I know some of it was a lot of information, but hopefully you find it useful. If you have any tips of your own, please leave it down in the comments below. Other than that, good luck with your uni studies. Midterm break is right around the corner, so hopefully you guys can get a good break and figure out how to stay organized, make sure that you're feeling not burnt out and all that. And hopefully I see you in a future upload. See ya!